Hey everyone, welcome to ATDev Podcast. So happy to be joined today by Chon Tang, founding partner of Berkeley Skydeck. Hey Chon, how's it going?
Hey, Owen, it's a pleasure to be here. It's great to see you.
Yeah, it's great to see you too, and thank you for your time today. I'm sure you're incredibly busy with all your wonderful Skydeck activities, and I really thank you for coming on the podcast because you have such an interesting story of going from startup land and ultimately to Berkeley Skydeck. Can you kind of walk us through your journey and how did you end up where you're at today?
Yeah, I'm actually not sure that my journey is that interesting these days because I feel like it's become a little bit more par for the course. But I will say when I left Berkeley in '98 and then I left grad school in 2000 to start my first company, even though it was the original .com bubble, I did feel somewhat alone in that effort. Most of my peers were not interested in, startup world. They wanted to work for big tech. They wanted to just have a job security for a life, and that's what it was all about. But I really, once I heard the sirens call of, wouldn't it be wonderful to build something that hasn't existed before? Wouldn't it be
Hmm.
great to not work for someone else and just, kind of explore what problems that the world has and see if you can solve it more effectively using all of these amazing technologies and tools that are appearing each day. Like I haven't gone back. I haven't. So I've been an active founder. I've raised multiple rounds of venture. I was a very active angel investor. I've made about 35 angel investments. I was also a quant fund manager for about 7 years. That was also a very entrepreneurial effort, more into the fact that I like quant finance and I thought I had an edge and nobody could stop me, even though nobody knew how you launch a quant fund. I did that from scratch and I think I did well. But then about 7 years ago, I ended up in my current role as at the Berkeley Skydeck Fund, and it's been the best career choice that I could have made. It combines a lot of my favorite things in one place. It combines early stage investments, early stage. It really allows me to work with lots and lots of founders to get lots of ideas off the ground. And it also involves some financial engineering, for lack of a better word. So it's been great.
Sure. Yeah, I think yeah, you hit on a lot of points that I really resonate with about loving the startup world and really how it draws on so many different disciplines. And I think as a founder, I have one perspective, but as an investor, you come across so many different companies and founders, and I'm really curious, what are some qualities that you consistently see in companies and founders that become successful.
Yeah. I think, a lot of this is a little bit cliche because, most investors inevitably both learn from each other, but also feed off of each other, and also come to some of the same conclusions. But I think from where I sit, where we're really working with founders on day one, we're not talking about founders that already have a team of 10 and have customers. I'm talking about founders that have nothing but a glint in their eye in terms of what they want to build. And I've started, and after, I also have a lot of shots on goal. There are a lot of investors that might only make a handful, a dozen investments in their career, and they some of them are just naturally good, of course, and those half dozen investments turn out to be amazing. I've had the luxury of investing in over 350 now,
That's so
and that
cool.
just, yeah, it just gives me a bigger, I think, sample size, bigger data set to be like, let's try this for the next 6 months. And
Right,
oh,
right.
that worked really badly. Let's let's change course and really. So I think the obvious things are amazing technical capabilities, amazing curiosity, insight, excitement about the world. I think that's a given. But like what I really also come to respect is I really want to know how you think. I'm gonna pause for 30 seconds. My thing is at the door.
Yeah,
I'll be
for
right back.
sure.
Okay.
All right, I'm back. Can you hear
All
me?
right, nice.
Awesome. Okay, to continue with the thread, another thing that I've really come to understand is we're working with founders where they're so early that whatever their view is on what the market's going to be or what the product is going to be, I know it's at best a guess. So what I really want to do is understand their mindset on why they're guessing it this way. And I really want to test them by throwing information at them or throwing a
Right,
challenge at them and seeing how they react. And I learned so much from that conversation. There are some founders that are stubborn, and I think they're in the mode where they're trying to pitch me, where they're just, hey, I'm here to close a sale, and I am now doing
right,
objection handling, and whatever Chon says, I'm gonna give him a counter argument for why what Chon said is not is like I can explain it away, and just about any argument when it's so early you can't explain it. But the founders that I want are the ones that hear this new piece of information and kind of go like, huh, that's interesting, I hadn't thought about that before, and if that's true, then I'm going to change my path in this way. And now that you mention it, to validate if that's true or not, I'm going to run this set of experiments. And Sean, I can't wait to come back to you in a week and tell you how that experiment went. You know,
right.
so that self awareness is that self awareness, that the confidence that comes with that, the
The clarity of mind that comes with that, it means a lot to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think that's partially what makes Berkeley Skydeck such a an awesome program is that it is associated with a leading university, and so I think a lot of founders can learn a lot from taking more of a scientific mindset approach to their business problems and really testing hypotheses rather than, as you said, just trying to close a sale.
Yeah, that's exactly the right mindset I think for founders to bring in. Like clearly, you come in with a vision of the world. It wouldn't be weird. It'd be weird if you wanted to start a company without one. But
Right.
the vision should be one where I don't know I don't know the individual steps that lead me to the vision, and like I really I think every experienced founder understands this. Like your job is to throw a lot of things against the wall and see what actually sticks.
Yeah.
Because 99 times out of 100, it's not the thing that you thought would stick.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's nobody knows, and that's kind of the point of running a startup is that you're doing an unreasonable feat and a very uncertain environment, and you have to work with all available data. So, moving back, to the beginning of Skydeck, I would really love to, learn a little bit more about, how did Skydeck start, and really what gaps do you see it filling in the VC market, and how do you approach raising a fund? I'm just really curious.
Yeah. Okay. So I love the question of how Skydeck started because I am a proud of it, but B, I do think there is an entrepreneurial journey there as well that I think founders would enjoy hearing about.
Yeah,
So research institution where you have some of the most talented scientists, engineers, researchers around the world. And the initial effort here is what you would expect. Let's build a platform to help some of these smart people as they think about spinning out, commercializing something that they built or that they found in the lab. The obvious approach. The interesting thing is that obvious approach actually isn't very effective. When you think
mm,
about it, there are dozens of schools around the world that look like Berkeley. Okay, all top institutions, Oxford, Cambridge, MIT, Princeton, CMU, Georgia Tech, a lot of great places that investors and want to look at and founders tend to come from. None of them have a really thriving, market driven venture capital fund that invests
right.
in founders from them. And that's because when you think about it, it really comes down to just the scale of that pipeline. Like how many companies are really going to come out of Berkeley every year? How many companies are going to come out of Georgia Tech or Princeton every year? And then who are the investors that you're competing with? Because be it Sequoia or Foundation or Andreessen Horowitz, they also know about the ability, the opportunities at Berkeley, and they're on campus trying to meet these founders, and they're gonna try to swoop in. So what additional value? So this is the part that I really think all founders will resonate with. When we were starting of this Skydeck fund and this vision of it, it was like, well, what's our edge? If we're just doing the same thing that everyone else is doing, but someone else has a bigger brand and more money than we do, then how can we possibly win? So you have to have an edge. And what we came to realize was our edge was, hey, let's change the formula. Instead of just being a pipeline from Berkeley, which a lot of other people are willing to do in our place, let's turn this around. We have redefined Skydeck as the accelerator for the world. We open our doors to founders from anywhere on the planet who do not have the resources that the founders on campus at Berkeley take for granted. So imagine that you're an amazingly talented engineer in Europe and Latin America and in Asia. You know how to solve a major problem that the world is facing. You know who the customer is. But unfortunately, if you're not from the Bay Area, your ability to fundraise that journey is so much more
Yeah,
challenging.
yeah,
You just don't have access to investors, of course, but you also don't have access to customers. You also don't have investors to talented people to join your team. It's 100x more challenging. And if you relocate to the Bay Area, that's the obvious answer. Jump on a plane. Now it's not 100x more challenging, but it's still probably 10x more challenging because you're not plugged in. You don't have the
right.
network. You don't have the roots. Investors, they look at you and they kind of go like, boy, that's a great idea, but I just don't know who you are. Are you really going to stay around? It's all about using Berkeley to give you this launching pad to plug in to solve these exact questions, right? In the 6 months that you spend in Berkeley, we are going to be able to connect you with talent through our advisors, through campus, through the researchers. They support you. We can support you with lots of customer introductions through the 500,000 Berkeley alumni. And then, of course, we can help you with fundraising as well. So we are the only ones that can leverage a resource pool like that, and that really resonates with the founders. We now have over 7,000 applying each year, from whom we pick about 40 to invest in to partner with. And I should mention one key aspect of this is half of the GP carry goes back to Berkeley. That's a very, very important part of
Mm,
the message
yes,
because that's what incentivizes campus to support. And the founders can know that by going through this program, they're also contributing financially.
yeah, I love that. That's yeah, such an interesting story, and yeah, I think that yeah, it is really true that while venture cap capital backed companies are found all over the world, it's really true that the biggest ones are still being built in the Bay Area, and I think that's partially a network effect, but it's also, thanks to organizations like Skydeck. And I really also enjoyed beyond everything that you talked about was the education that Skydeck provides. I think ATDev has probably gone through 5 to 8 accelerators at this point, and there's really not an emphasis on teaching early stage entrepreneurs the mechanics of venture capital and really what it takes to turn an idea into a scalable business. And I think that's something that Skydeck is really gone above and beyond with.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I think companies like ATDev are exactly the kind of startup opportunity that we like. Core insight about technology, about a pain point where the market is actually very, very large once you fully understand it, and then really smart driven founders that we had confidence will be able to take this thing all the way. So it's been great, and I really can't wait to see what comes next. I have to jump
Yeah,
to
that's
my
fun.
next meeting.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
worries. Well, yeah, thank you so much for being here, John, and really keep up the great work at Skydeck. And also, thank you to our listeners. Please like and subscribe and share. And John, if people want to learn more about Skydeck or connect, where can they go to find more information?
So the website skydeck.berkeley.edu has a lot of information for founders who would like to apply and join our next batch, or would just like to participate in some of our other content community building stuff. We do a lot on campus. Or if you're a investor that would like to understand how to plug into our demo days, I should mention that we have one of the largest demo days in the world with over 600 people joining us in person 2 times per year.
All right, thanks, everybody.